Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shit Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, Carly Cloer, and the Shit Show is all about me interviewing a guest who is open and willing to share a shit show out of their life and, just the journey of their shit show. And at the end, life lessons they learned about themselves in the process. And today, I'm very happy to introduce a new friend of mine, Leighann Amanda. And Leighann is coming to us from Southern California. She is an ontological coach, and she helps, I remember helping women become whole, but I'm leaving a part out.
It's okay. You learned it like 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
So Leighann, tell everybody really quick what you help women with.
I help driven women cultivate wholeness.
Cultivate wholeness. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So I love this shit show already because I don't know Leighann. She was referred to me by a mutual friend, Keely, and I am so excited because I don't know what you're going to share. I have literally no idea. So whatever you feel called to share on this wonderful vehicle shit show, this platform, let's hear what's on your heart today.
Okay. So this is great that you know nothing because for a while, like it was all that was on my social media. And now people really have to dig. But not really, but about a year and a half ago, I was newly engaged and my fiancé and I were both coaches, and we had just signed this new client, and we went to Thailand and we were going to run a retreat. And the morning that the client was supposed to arrive, my fiancé at 28 years old just died. He was in the pool and I think he accidentally drowned himself, even though he was a professional diver in the military in his past life. And so that threw me into the shit show called grief.
Oh my gosh.
At 25. So I was 25 at the time.
Leighann.
And yeah, it was the worst. It was honestly the worst. It was my worst nightmare. And is my internet okay, by the way?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So yeah, that was my entrance into my worst nightmare, which is a really it started off with honestly what I had to confront for myself was, how am I going to do grief? How do I want to do this? How do I want this? How will I look back on this later in life and be at peace with how I did this? Like, what will provide me peace?
Mm-hmm.
And so the first 4 or 5 months I spent just in our brand new house, just grieving and alone and diving into it, right? And then after that,
what did that look like for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, okay. So I had everyone from a spiritual mentor to a trauma counselor to being a coach, having lots of coaches on my side, talking to whoever I needed to talk to, and then also taking tons of alone time. And literally from wearing his shirts and staying crying in bed to just trying to go to the gym and be I need to focus on something I don't even know. And then I would get to the gym and then 10 minutes in, I'd be like, why am I here? And then I would leave. And then,
cause that's reality for you. And grief looks so different for everybody. And so thank you for going into that. Cause I really wanted to hear, okay, what was the day-to-day for you? And how did you allow yourself to, or did you allow yourself? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Allowance was the biggest shit show of it all, because I realized that I had a preconceived notion without even knowing it about how I was supposed to do grief. And
Oh,
other
interesting.
people had an interest, like other people had opinions too about how upset I should be, what that looks like. You know, like when you think about somebody who's grieving the person they're supposed to spend the rest of their life with, like you maybe kind of have an idea of what that
Mm-hmm.
looks like. I don't know. Or maybe you have a set of ideas that like fit in this certain box, right? So after 4 or 5 months, I decided to travel, and I traveled for about 6 months and went to like 12 different countries. And just honestly, I feel kind of bad for all the people that were surrounding me at the time
Oh,
because there were so many times where you know, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys don't even know, like life is amazing and we're here and we're breathing, this is a gift. And then other times I was just like obviously in my stuff.
hmm.
And and I really had to allow myself to be in it around people, and
No
just
matter what their response was.
oh yeah, and everybody
Oh,
had like every kind of response under the sun. And so, and none of them were wrong, none of them were the
sure.
wrong response.
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, I just decided like every single day I just showed up how I showed up. Like you either got like the devastated Leighann, or you got the like joyful, grateful Leighann, or like whatever, like in between, who knows. And so yeah, that was the beat, that was like the event that really I could say is like created the biggest shit show of my life. Because then I was also, you know, a freelance entrepreneur. And then like we had just like gotten this house, and like then I had to, you know, not work with a bunch of new clients. And then life kind of hit in this other real way, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I have to provide for myself, and I don't want to get out of bed,
Yeah.
you
Oh.
know. That was like navigating the very real reality that life keeps moving even when you don't want to. And
Mm.
yeah, so that was the beginning of a bunch of different lessons, for sure.
Mm.
Many
And coming
different.
up with that self, like that, the only one that you are answering to is you, in the sense also of a boss, and coming up with your own motivation to want to, you know, continue the cycle of getting clients and, you know, signing clients and making income. Like I'm just, I'm trying to wrap my brain around that. I
Yeah,
can't
like
even.
thanks for like naming that piece, because yeah, for so long, for like at least a year afterwards, so even like, you know, up until like 6 months ago, I was like, I don't want any new clients. I just want to go like witness the world and see beautiful things and experience things. And
Mm.
yeah, there were a few crucial moments while traveling, like
Ooh.
honestly, um it was such a beautiful experience, you know, like traveling alone for the most part. Like I met up with a few people and like met some really great people, and some beautiful people who let me stay with them. And
Mm.
you know, just there was so much beauty to the process. But I'll never forget when I was in the Swiss Alps, and I had remembered that my previous fiance James, I asked him one time what his favorite place in the entire world was, and he said in Switzerland. He was sitting on a hill like a year before I had asked him, and he heard these bells, and he looked around him, and there were cattle all around him with bells tied to their neck, so that, you know, the farmers can hear that their cattle are around when they're grazing. And it's called the Cow Symphony.
Mm.
And I remember being in the Swiss Alps with a couple of friends and hearing cowbells, being
Oh.
like, oh my god, oh my god. And then we reached like this dip in the Alps where there was this beautiful little lake and cattle everywhere.
Oh.
And I remember just remembering why I started to travel. And like it was healing for me. There were points where I felt truly connected to James. There were moments where I felt like it was okay, different layers of letting go or being with everything. Yeah. But all the while, you know, like thinking about generating clients and
Oh my
stuff
God.
like that. It's like, that was the last thing I wanted to do. I
Oh
actually, yeah, for the most part, I gave myself grace and not really looking for any new clients and just going, okay, well, because I'm changed now, how have I changed as a coach, and how will my business change? And so I sort of didn't put any pressure. There were times where for sure I would like call one of my friends and be like, I need to figure this out. Like, who am I? Right. Like that was a piece for sure. But then also just like letting it all happen and see what would unfold.
That is so trusting, Leighann. I mean, you're trusting, you know, the universe, God's, you know, spiritual, you know, spirituality, however you define that, to provide. And I could see that not everybody going through a grief process like that would really surrender to that. And it sounds like you really did. And because I can't imagine dealing with your grief and compiling money stresses on top of that, or financial stresses. Yeah. And you didn't. Like, that's fucking amazing.
Thanks. Well, I mean, the part I have to own too, right? Like the flip side of that is that there was a part of me that really wanted to escape. And so being all around the world was so nurturing, and it also kind of let me not, you know, like I think healthily, like it was good to get out of our house and you know, like not be tied to where we had just moved, and you know, spend an appropriate amount of time there and feel it, and hold a celebration of life, and do the things. But then also, like, I gotta own, there was a piece of me that was like, man, we gotta experience life. Like there was this urgency, this carpe diem that, and it maybe came from, you know, like trauma, but and some of it wasn't, you know, like, I mean, part of why I really why my life has always, you know, looking back, has always been about wholeness, is that it's never about not having your shadow. It's impossible to not have your shadow. And so there's always a light and a shadow to everything. So of course there was this beauty in searching for, you know, the beauty of life and experiences and soaking life up. But there was also this part of me that was like, oh my God, when am I next? Or like, oh my God, when, like, there was this like crazy relationship to life and death that was kind of in the background now. And so I couldn't just not experience the world. So you could say that part of that came from a reaction, but then I had to get that and see that, like, okay, so that means like I can't be trapped by that, because otherwise I would have been perpetually just like attached to, you know, the carpet.
Living each day as it's your last.
Yeah, which, you know, can get you in trouble sometimes. So yeah, I had to be mindful of that and get that, not to get wrapped up in that, and also be in the present moment and be with life when it's not like in those dazzling experiences, and trusting, you know, just trusting life, even though I had been given this reason technically or whatever to not trust life. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you have a specific turning point of when that kind of that switch, and it, again, it can be different for everybody, or there could not be a turning point that's a defining moment for you?
Honestly, I think the turning point was there was foreshadowing to the turning point all along the process so far, but I hit this point where I realized that, how do I want to word this? It's okay to be happy and laugh and like live. Like I I think one of the things that people don't talk about with grief is the guilt that comes with it. And
what kind of guilt?
well, like guilt for living and being happy when you shouldn't, because you should be grieving this person all the time. Or
okay.
like maybe like some people, it could look like it should be me, not them. Or, you know, like they should be living, not me. Like there are lots of different flavors of guilt. The one that came to me the most though was, you know, like I know that he would have wanted me to just like be powerful, because he was always like cheerleading me and championing me to be my most powerful self, and just anything less than that he was like mad. You know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, this is not just honoring me, this is honoring him, living my best life, and just like letting it all coexist, let the grief and the play and the gratitude and the devastation and the joy and the soaking up and the caving in, like all of it coexisting. And I think for, you know, from the outside that looks kind of strange. Like to some people that might look strange to approach it that way. And so the biggest turning point for me was having compassion for the people who don't get it, and the people who don't see eye to eye, and the people who think that it's weird when I'm happy. Like, I guess because like my probably like my most ingrained shit show of all is like to be a people pleaser and to keep everybody happy and keep, you know, like so many of us just, you know, like human beings, we evolved to be tribal, not nomadic. So we all want to have like the community happy and working. Right. So I noticed there's this part of me that had to really let go of this aspect of that and trust that however I create my life is mine, and it's not for anybody else. So the turning point was really like embracing the travel and the exploration, but like just being able to claim like, yes, I am now like happy to be working full time again. I'm happy to be traveling and living life. I'm happy to, you know, like possibly find another partner, or, you know, like actually move on and be happy. And
like that's okay.
it's more than okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I remember 2 months into my grief, when I was still in the house, I had this good day. I had one good day where I was happy and I was able to be like, okay, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. And I recorded a video for myself. So I'm like in my kitchen of this beautiful house all by myself. And I actually like look okay, and I'm wearing my own clothes, and
not his clothes,
my own clothes, breakthrough.
That's big.
Anyway, so I recorded a video, and I said, okay, Leighann, this video is for the days when people tell you it's going to be okay, because it pisses me off when people say it's going to be okay. No, life will be extraordinary. It's not going to be okay. It's going to be extraordinary. Just remember that. And like, you don't know how many times I watched that video. Like, okay, it's going to be okay. It's going to be extraordinary. It's going to be extraordinary. It's not just going to be okay. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be everything I want it to be. Wow. And yeah, so just like allowing that from like month 2, letting that become my reality more and more, like embracing the extraordinary. Yeah.
That is beautiful. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. So I thought of one question, and I don't know why I feel weird asking it, but since your ex-fiance, well, your fiance,
previous
fiance has passed, have you ever felt his presence around you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
For sure. Yeah. And it's funny because one of the people I actually sought guidance from, for especially the first few months of my grief, was a medium. Which before that I thought that all was just like woo woo. And but you know, like whether or not it is woo-woo, whether or not it's true or not, it really served me. And so I just decided to go with it.
Good.
Like, whether this is weird or true or real or not, it totally serves me, so I'm just going to do it. And then I sort of got in the practice of only having it so that the only things left I have to say to him are thank you and I love you.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a very short period of time where I was like confused and like, come back, and where are you, and why are you gone, and I miss you, like my spiritual mentor, he was brilliant in that he said, like, if there is an afterlife, you're making it really hard for him to not like be in the afterlife if you're making it all about you. Like, his death is about him. So I actually had to separate myself from him, sort of like know that I couldn't rely on him in his passing. I had to sort of let him do his process and get to this place inside myself where all I really had to say was thank you and I love you, so that he would know that I was going to be okay, so that he could go do his thing, whatever that is.
Right. And make that switch of, well, what it sounds like, make that switch of, it's, yes, I miss him. And yes, I'm saying, where are you? And why aren't you here? And I want you to come back, to, okay, what's best for him, wherever he is and whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm, blessing him. He'll always be here, but kind of the bless and release, any kind of attachment and any kind of, it's all about me because it's about him too. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, thanks. Exactly. And so the only times that I really ever like connect with him or feel him are times when I know that, like, because grief comes in waves and it's not as much anymore in the same way, but if it comes in a wave, I let it be. And sometimes I'll like ask him to show up, and sometimes I won't. But like, he was the kind of guy that whenever I asked him for advice when he was alive, he would always be like, what do you have to say? I want to know how you would solve this problem. And he never really wanted to give me the answer. And I can still hear him, like, whenever I ask him, oh, what do you think I should do? Or, which is, it's not frequent anymore, but like, if I do, whether it's actually him saying it or just my memory of him saying it, it's still a contribution either way, but he's always saying, how would you solve this problem?
Oh.
And so that's like one of the biggest gifts, is just knowing him, trusting me in how I solve my problems and how I do life, which is like what the turning point was, even in my grief. How do I do my grief regardless of what people think I should do, or how should I live my life regardless of what people think?
Or how other people deal with grief, if they're in the same or a similar situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say are the biggest, or is the biggest, life lesson that you learned about you, or just about anything in this process? What would you say that the biggest lesson you learned was?
I would say that the biggest life lesson, so the last talk that I did, the theme of it was that suffering is more socially acceptable than peace. And so when people choose peace, it's like weird in some ways. And, like, people are suffering every day, even like in the tiniest ways, whether it's like in traffic, somebody cuts them off, and then they, rather than choosing peace, they choose like, or, like anything bigger, right? Like we like to be able to know that we can choose suffering, because it's like a protecting thing. So I guess to
And
me,
an addiction, I think, too.
it totally is.
Yeah.
It totally is. I know it's like an evolutionary thing in some ways, but I guess I just got that that even if it's less socially acceptable, I'd just much rather choose peace. And choose the path with more peace. And
would you say it's like a constant reminder? Like you
oh
need to
my
constantly
God.
remind yourself?
Yeah, my wiring does not like that decision at all. My wiring is like, what do you mean? But we got to hold on to these things and we got to suffer. And yeah, so
And
it'll
be
always be,
negative and pessimistic and yeah.
yeah, and hate this person for saying this and
Uh-huh.
nah, 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 you know, like, so it's a constant letting go.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the other thing that I think that's really coming to me
Mm-hmm.
is that's kind of like a branch off of that it's okay to choose peace, is like it's just play. Like, no matter what happens to you, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what occurs in life that sucks and is shitty,
Mm-hmm.
um that, like, it's okay to laugh and play and just get messy and be silly. And I think that's one of the things that has helped me the most, is just like letting myself be playful and
Mm-hmm.
silly and laugh.
Uh, Leighann, you are such a beautiful spirit, and
Aw.
what an amazing message that you delivered today. And well, not just message, but messages, and so many aspects that we can take from that, even if, you know, people watching haven't dealt with grief like that before. There's so many things to learn from what you discussed. Thank you.
Oh, thank
Thank
you. I hope
you.
so. Thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm just so happy that I met you. Well,
Oh, right
even if
back
it's just
at
you
you.
here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're just such a beautiful spirit and just have so many life lessons already for such a young age.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
thank you for your time and for sharing. And I would love for you to share where people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, Leighann Amanda. My name is spelled really strange though, Leighann. Or you can find me on Instagram as the Wholeness Coach.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, those are
Okay.
the two main places that you can find me. Yeah,
Great. I will. So when I post this, I'll tag you. And then if you want to put your Instagram link in the comments, that'd be
totally,
awesome. Oh,
totally.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I so
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay. See you next time on the Shit Show. Bye.